Okay, so this review is meant for my Concepts of Algebra 2 students. We have a quiz on Friday covering sections 4.1 through 4.3. Just going to go through about 4 or 5 problems to kind of get you used to what the problems on the quiz are going to be like. Alright, so the first one, we're just going to solve this inequality and then graph the solution. Okay, and the inequality says 6 minus 2x is greater than 5x minus 1. So first thing I see is I see x's on both sides. So get them together. I'm going to add 2x so that the x's are combined and that they stay positive. And I do it just to both sides of the inequality. So the 6 drops down. The 2x's cancel on the left side. Greater than stays the same. 5 plus 7 is 2, or 5 plus 2 is 7x, I'm sorry. And then minus 1 comes down. Now I'm going to add 1 to both sides. So that'll give me 7 on the left here is greater than 7x on the right, and the 1's cancel. And then finally, to get x all by itself, I'll divide by 7. 7 divided by 7 is 1. The inequality stays the same because I did not divide by a negative. And over here, the 7's cancel, and I get x. Now, the only request I would make, and I think this is very smart of you to do, would be to write this as x first. So if 1 is greater than x, then x is less than 1. You want to be variable first. And now to graph on a number line, just a quick number line. 1 goes in the center. Open circle because it's not equal to. And less than means to the left. And there's the graph of this inequality. Okay, here's our next inequality. Again, we're going to solve the inequality and graph the solution. But this time, this is an example of a compound inequality. And more specifically, when you have two inequality symbols in one statement, this is an AND. Remember, for an OR, you'll hear the word OR, okay, or you'll see the word OR. But for an AND, there is no AND, it's just two inequalities. So there are 3 sides to this inequality. Every time I do something, I need to do it 3 times. And the goal is to get x in the middle. So what do? Well, to get x alone, I'm going to add 1 first. I do it once in the middle, once on the left, once on the right. Negative 1 plus 1 is 0. Leave the 0 there. The inequality comes down. 2x is in the middle. The 1 and negative 1 in the center cancel. And the less than stays the same. And 5 plus 1 is 6. Okay. And now to get x alone in the center, the next step would be divide by 2. If I do it once in the middle, I do it once on the left and once on the right. 0 divided by 2 is still 0. Less than or equal to does not change. You're not dividing by a negative. The 2's cancel in the middle. I get x, which is what I want. The less than does not change because I'm not dividing by a negative. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. There is your compound inequality simplified, right? X in the center. So now I can graph the solution. I need to put 2 numbers, 0 over here, 3 over there. For 0, it's a solid because of that equal to. For 3, it's a dotted because it's not equal to. And x is in the center, so that is exactly where you shade, or where you draw your squiggles or your arrows, whatever you do, in the center. And there's a compound inequality example. Okay, so here's a word problem we're going to take a look at. It says your internet service provider allows you to create your own World Wide Web. Suppose you have 100 megabytes of storage space, so you have up to 100 megabytes of storage space for photos and video clips. A photo is 1.4 megabytes of space, and a video clip is 6.2 megabytes of space. So first thing is write an inequality to represent the situation. Okay. So this will be, let's call this part A, B, and C. So A, write an inequality. Well, the first thing I need are my variables. And there are 2 variables. There are photographs and there are video clips. X is the photos, and more importantly, the number of, right? The number of. And Y is the number of video clips. So number of photos, number of videos. So the 1.4 is the space for a photo, so that's going to go next to the x, 1.4x, plus a video clip is 6.2. That goes next to the y, 6.2, and that is going to be, you only have 100 megabytes of storage, so you have to use less than or equal to 100 megabytes. There is your inequality. Now I'm going to scroll down because I can just use this inequality for all the other parts. Okay, so there's the inequality we need. Okay, B. B says graph. Well, this is in standard form, so we're going to find the X intercept first in order to graph it. So to find the X intercept, I cover up the 6.2y. Remember, treat this as an equal sign. If you cover up the 6.2y, it says 1.4x equals 100. And we divide by 1.4, divide by 1.4, and I get a value for x. And x comes out to be 71.4-ish. Do the same thing for the y-intercept. Cover up the x this time. 6.2y equals 100. We'll divide by 6.2 on both sides, and we'll get a y value of 16.1. So when I graph this, you only need the positive quadrant. So you only need the L-shaped graph, x and y. The X intercept goes on the x-axis. Now I'm going to count by tens because I think I can fit everything on here. So this is going to be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. There would give me 71. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 71. I'll use a different color. Let's use blue. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 71. On the y-axis, again, I'll count by, I'm not going to count by tens. I'm going to count by maybe, I'm going to count by twos. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. That's all I need, because I go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, and it's 16.1. And please bear with me with my graph. It's a solid line because it's equal to. And there I go. Okay, that's the best I can do. I apologize for the messiness. And now we need to talk about the shading. So let's test a point. And the favorite point to test is 0, 0. Let me slide this down a little bit. So if I test 0, 0, this is going to be 1.4 times 0 plus 6.2 times 0. Is that less than or equal to 100? The zeros make everything disappear. 0 is less than or equal to 100. Is 0 less than 100? This is true. So I shade towards 0, 0. And there's my solution space. Right there. So then C says, okay, give 3. Well, we're going to give just 1. And any solution is any point in this space. So come up with a nice point. I'm going to go right here and right there. That would be 10, 20, 30 for x. And this would be 2, 4, 6 for y. And then I just add my units. So 30 is x. X is the number of photos. So 30 photos and 6 videos. And there's an example of a solution to this problem. So there's the inequality, the graph, and a possible solution. Not the only solution, but one possible one. Okay, here's the next problem. We're going to graph this, this inequality. 2x minus y is less than or equal to 3. Okay, so first thing I'll notice is that this is in standard form. ax plus by equals c. I'm going to ignore the inequality symbol for right now because I want to find the x and y intercepts. So I'm going to do that right here. To find the x intercept, we cover up the y. 2x equals 3. Divide by 2. X equals 1.5. I'm going to draw my graph right now. This is the x-axis, so I need to go 1.5 on the x. 1 and a little bit more. 0.5. There's my x-intercept. Now I'll do the y-intercept. And for the y-intercept, I cover up the x term. So 2x goes away. Negative y equals 3. Don't forget about that negative. We need to divide by the negative 1. The negatives cancel. Y equals, and that's negative 3. So that means on the y-axis, we go down 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now I go back to my inequality. I say, okay, it was equal to. Equal to means solid line. So there comes my solid line. And now finally I have to test the point. And the point I'm going to test is 0, 0. So down here, I'll test 0, 0. Plug in 0 for x and 0 for y. 2 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 0 is 0. 0 is less than or equal to 3. This is true. 0 is less than 3. So I'm going to shade where 0, 0 is. And that is right here. And there's this graph. Okay, here's the last problem we got here. We're going to graph a system of 3 linear inequalities. Okay, so we have x is less than 1, y is greater than or equal to -2, and y is less than 2x plus 5. All right. So if we take a look at this, I'll use 3 colors for each one. The first one, again, ignore the inequality. This tells me that all of my points have an x of 1. So to get 2 points to graph, pick 2 points with x's of 1. 1, 0, and 1, 2. So on this graph, and I'll use a neutral color. Let's use red. Okay, so I'll graph the points 1, 0, and 1, 2. And I can see it's going to be a vertical line. It's not equal to, so it's dashed. So it's a dashed vertical line. And I'll leave that alone for right now, and we'll come back to it in a little bit. Okay, next, let's go orange. Again, ignore the inequality. Y is equal to -2. What this tells me is that all my points have a y coordinate of -2. So I pick 2 points with y coordinates of -2. 0, -2, 2, -2. 0, -2, 2, -2. We can see it's going to be horizontal. Now, this one has an equal to. That means solid. So we'll do a solid line across there. And then lastly, I'll use the blue. Y is equal to 2x plus 5. This is in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. So over here, I will identify the Y intercept. The Y intercept is the b value, and the b value is 5. This is the y-axis, so I go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Up 5. Now the slope is the number in front of x. That's the m. And this is a 2. But I need a fraction, so I make it 2 over 1. And to count that slope, that's up 2 and to the right 1. So on my graph, I'm going to add a couple marks. I'm going to go up 2 and to the right 1, right here. This means dashed. It's not equal to, so I'm going to make a dashed line. And there you go. Okay? So the green one intersects the blue one up here. The orange one intersects these two down here. Here's my picture. So now I have to work with the shading. Okay? I can test 0, 0. Oh, happy day. Test 0, 0. And maybe I should put it, I should try to fit it. It's right here. So we're going to test 0, 0. And we're going to do it in all 3 lines. So the first one, the green one. I'm going to slide down just a little bit. 0 goes in for x. 0 is less than 1. This is true. So for this green one, I'm shading this way, towards 0, 0. Okay, next, the orange one. Again, plug in 0 for y. 0 is greater than or equal to -2. 0 is greater than -2. That is true. So for the orange one, I'm shading up towards 0, 0. So right now, I am here in this top left space, to the left of the green, up the blue, or up the orange, I'm sorry, up the orange. And now the blue. Plug in 0 for y, 0 for x. 0 is less than, this is 0 plus 5. 0 is less than 5. Is 0 less than 5? That's true. So I'm going to shade this one towards 0, 0, which is going to bring it back this way. So where is the overall shading at? Well, it's to the left of the green, it's above the orange, but it's below the blue. And I hope you can see this triangular region where it's all going to intersect. And that is the solution to this system of inequalities. Alright. So here are 5 good problems that hopefully you practiced with, and you'll be prepared for the quiz on Friday. Alright, we'll see you then. Thanks for watching.